Hello everybody and welcome to the penultimate round in the Everything Simulated Formula 4 Championship here from Adelaide. Beautiful look from the skies here as we embark on iRacing's newest circuit, the Adelaide Street Circuit, playing host to the second last round of the championship. Just over 3Ks in length, obviously, here in Australia. And we are almost ready to go. Myself, Ian O'Leary, should be joined by Rhys Gardner shortly, but not here for the moment. George Cook is behind the cameras, and for the moment will chat along with me here in the commentary box as we get ready for the third round of this championship. This is the recruitment series, of course, between Super Formula Light's championships, but it's been the same championship leader pretty much the whole way through. Well, I say pretty much the whole way through, not after Phillip Island, because Sebastian Eskandari was trailing Kane Ryder, but after winning last week, he is now at the top, head of Steph Burkhardt, who's got himself into second. Then it's Kane Ryder. Jackson Rihanna and Jordan Masroli then round up the top five, and there is a 36-point championship lead, but the next four are covered by just 7 points, so it is still rather close. Dan Ackland is in sixth position with Scott Bartime, the first driver to not have 100 points. David Gallo, Campbell Adams, Dylan Little round out the top 10. No gold and silver split in this series, as we know, as you may know if you've been watching so far. And so, yeah, that's overall, and indeed there is no prizes further down the field. Just a couple of drivers haven't scored any points yet, but I think I can see Patrick Savina in the field today. I can, so Adrian Loretti will be the only one to not be having scored any points yet, and indeed that's going to continue into the next round of this championship by the looks of things. A couple of things just to chat through before we get fully into qualifying. Obviously this is a new circuit in iRacing, but glad to say that a lot of people have taken it up, and so we've got a big field again tonight. And one of the drivers on the grid is Angus Milne for Everything Simulated Racing. Now, you may not be aware, but Angus Milne won the Australian Open Wheel Nationals race with a flawless drive in a chaotic 3 safety car race, and indeed helped FDL to win the league points honours as well at the Australian Open Wheel Nationals for the very first time. You may remember that Mark Healy won the race previously a few months ago when it was at Bathurst in September or so. Angus Milne won the race this time round, but with it this time came the points honours as well. So congratulations to all 13 drivers who took part for FDL in that event, bringing home the title in the Australian Open Wheel Nationals for the very first time. And one other thing as well, Sebastian Eskandari could seal a title tonight as long as he's 102 points clear over the rest of the field. Now that is exceptionally unlikely, because that would be a 66-point gain he would require, and that would mean, for example, second place would have to finish, Steph Burkhardt would have to finish 14th or lower here tonight. That does feel unlikely, but you never know. I'll bring George Cook in with commentary alongside me here this afternoon if Rhys Gardner isn't going to be here. Hopefully he is, but for the moment, George, good to have you alongside me. Got to say, very impressed with Adelaide, first of all. He's using those aerial shots as we introduce the broadcast, and there's a lot of buildings around and so on. I dread to think how big the file is, but anyway, it's very well made, and really glad to have another street circuit, the iconic Adelaide Street Circuit in iRacing.
And with its very unique Apex colours as well, which have been featured on the B-roll and featured on the thumbnail. It is great to see it, and it was that gigantic download that we've all done over the last few days, so that we're up to date, so that we have this new content. The circuit does look absolutely, genuinely fantastic. And by the looks of it, there's been some really great racing at this circuit already. Hasn't been out for that long. I think it's already becoming a crowd favourite, which is great to see. I'll be interested to see what happens at turn 1 once we get racing, but first qualifying.
Yes, indeed. Importantly as well, Team Max Boost are working together again by the looks of things. This is Danny Davison who's leading the pairing around. I think it's Daniel McCrowan behind him. Yep, it is indeed. Craig Edwards again trying to hang on to their coattails. Jackson Miana not doing that this time round as they cross the line for the first time. Now, this chicane is going to be interesting first up. You were mentioning to me beforehand that people were having trouble with it last weekend in the Australian Open Women National race, and so there were 3 safety cars in that race, so that gives you an idea of how it went, but it was the first chicane that was really drawing the attention.
Yeah, it certainly was, and a lot of these corners are also very off-cam. You can see even coming through here, the track just sort of dips away to the left as you're going through the right hand. You can see there's a lot of counter-steering that the cars are doing as you get into the corner, and this is the tricky thing I think we're going to see today. It's not just the nature of these cars, which don't have a huge amount of aero to rely on. It's also going to be a lot down to this circuit. The wall's incredibly close as we fly through this full-speed right-hander and now down one of the main straights. It is a fantastic location to go racing, but as you said, I think that chicane is going to cause some issues. There's a lot of curb riding here from what I can see, and you're sort of trusting that the car is going to have the inertia that you expect it to have. Let's see, going through the left-hander there, a little bit of counter-steering there on the exit as well for Danny Davison, but at least the track looks fantastic, I have to admit.
Yeah, it certainly does. This is the permanent end, if you like, that's permanently here in this sort of park area. If you look at the layout of Adelaide as a city, this is right in the centre. It's not like those street circuits that try and cause as little nuisance as possible by staying as far away from the centre as possible. It's quite close in, but some of this circuit is permanent down that end, as you can see over there. And then they get to the street element, which is here, a little bit more bumpy, as you can tell, through these 90-degree turns that continue on, 4, 5, 6, and then into turn 7, which allows them to get onto the straight towards turn 8, one of the most famous corners in Australia. It's a junction really, but in fast cars like these, it turns very exciting indeed. As here's another problem. There's no pit stops in this race, but should anybody have to make their way out the pit lane, everybody on the racetrack has got to be absolutely aware of what's going on, because it's easy to forget that the pit exit here throws you right onto the racing line as you're trying to get yourself lined up ready for the first chicane again. So many things to be wary of here, and I'm personally really glad we're using this circuit first up straight away, if you like. People haven't had time really to get used to it, and let's not forget, it's not really in very many simulators either, so the chances that these guys will have extensive practice, I think, on this circuit are quite limited, based on the sort of visibility of this circuit around the different simulators of the world. It's only just come to iRacing. Can't think of many others that it's in either.
Yeah, precisely. I think this has given me vibes of Paul Ricard on that exit for sure. So the drivers are going to have their wits about them. That is one thing that they'll need to be aware of all race long. And it's almost like giving a race a little bit of drying or changing conditions, a little bit of rain to mix it in. It's a new circuit. You know, I guess from a commentary and broadcasting point of view, if we could have a new track every single week, we absolutely would, because we love to see that the drivers are having to make those skill adjustments. Look at how quick these guys go through that chicane. They are absolutely full trust through that section of the track. But as I was saying, you know, if we had a new, I don't think anyone's bank accounts would be particularly happy about it, a new track every single week and leagues relying solely on that. But it would certainly provide an interesting mix-up, and the drivers are going to have to get used to this track very, very quickly today. Some will have raced in the Aon race earlier on last week. Some will have been doing practice every single day. There'll be a number of drivers out there that are here doing their first few hours of practice.
I might adopt Aon, actually. That's quite good.
Yeah.
Anyway, just about halfway in this qualifying session, Sebastian Eskandari is leading it by about a quarter of a second ahead of Campbell Adams. Daniel McCrowan is in there, and as I say, that Jackson Riano goes in, steams into second place with a fifth lap time that is a 25.7. Still not not faster though than Sebastian Eskandari. Seth Burkhardt's currently in 5th, and he's coming around the final corner right now as somebody swings wide in front of him, letting a few in, and indeed going side by side with one driver over the line. Jordan Masroli and Angus Mirren, I think that is, going side by side into turn 1. What are these two doing? Can't quite organise themselves through the first chicane for the latest time, and they'll get it sorted now, but that was slightly strange. Masroli, part of one of those 4 drivers who were covered by 7 points for 2nd place, but I think the target has got to be for all of these guys. How can they beat Sebastian Eskandari as Campbell Adams goes up in front of everybody? There's a spin there through turn 5 for one of the drivers in front of these guys, and I'm hoping that, well, for Masroli's sake and maybe everybody else as well, that there's going to be a little bit more cooperation between them so that they can try and keep Sebastian Eskandari as close as possible this time and give themselves a chance to beat him, because in the previous 2 weeks they haven't done that.
Race Control confirming no further action for Eskandari in the 704 car, so something's gone on there. Maybe a little bit of impeding, but deemed no action by Race Control. Campbell Adams with that great time, the 558. Only 26 hundredths of a second clear, though, of Eskandari, but both of them clear by over 0.2 of a second from Jackson Riano, who hasn't really gotten to grips yet into those mid-125s. Although I have to admit, these are looking like really, really good lap times, all things considered. In practice, we were seeing lap times more or less around this exact same similar area. So it might be a little bit of change of conditions out there at the moment, which has stopped them from going quite as fast as they had done in the practice. Keen to see, though, if Danny Davison, who was one of the drivers who was right at the top of the practice session, if he's able to put in a representative lap, that 26.0, nowhere near what he did in the practice. I believe he was well into the 25s. So definitely one to keep an eye on as well. Craig Edwards out of the pits, and yeah, a few drivers will be getting in there. 6 minutes to go now in this qualifying.
Yeah, not long at all now. And this in these cars, obviously we associate Adelaide with being very short circuit, but in these cars it's still 1.5 minutes, so that doesn't actually constitute very many laps at all as Kane Ryder goes over the line there on his own. Not as much working together for Max Boost today, but that's to be expected, I suppose, with a circuit like this, bobbling over the curves and moving up to 3rd place. There are places where you can use the slipstream, and I think from turn 7 all the way around to turn 9 is effectively flat out for these cars. I don't think the Formula Fords have to really lift off at all through turn 8, to be honest, but everywhere else it's not really possible to slipstream very much. And here's Eskandari. I'd imagine he's on for a lap time close to pole position, but he's not using slipstream at the moment either, just because this is the first circuit we've had this season really where it's not quite as useful.
Yeah, it may not have the same advantage as we've seen at previous tracks where the drivers really know exactly what they're doing. They may just want to get out there, have that nice clean air, and, you know, maybe just use that to their advantage. Use it to just get your head in the right space and to really understand the corner entry and what the car's going to do. And especially for Eskandari, who we suspect may be in the lead of this race at some point. He nearly slams it into the barrier on the left-hand side. My goodness, that was absolutely millimeters there for him. You see, luckily he backed out of it. So sensible racing wits about him, that is for sure. But I think, you know, maybe sometimes the lack of slipstream. I've done that in my racing. We've got a teammate who wants to work together. I say, no, I just want to go out and do some laps.
Yeah, and sometimes that is the better idea as well, not least for your own confidence, but actually when you think about lap time as well, it can be better. Just have a look at turn 8 here. How flat out is it? How fast are we going through here? It's pretty much flat, isn't it? They're not really getting anywhere close to the wall, so it is a long slipstreaming opportunity, really, all the way round, as we're getting penalties in for the first time. 10 seconds penalty to Jacob Banton for qualifying, impeding Dylan Liddell. That is the first penalty of the day. May not be the last, but we'll wait and see. There's Campbell Adams, currently on the pole, 26 thousandths of a second in front of the rest. Is he a Max Boost driver as well? I wonder. I can't quite tell from the livery, but at the moment he's leading this session in front of Eskandari. Seth Burkhardt's moves up to 3rd place as well. They're all getting closer to Adams, but not overtaking him for the moment.
It's suspiciously similar, isn't it? I mean, it does say Max Boost on the side of the car, and even just by the colours, it's definitely Max Boost livery. He's marked down on my sheet as a privateer at the moment, so if he's been scooped up by Max Boost as well, Well, it wouldn't surprise me at all, to be honest, given that Max Boost love to have great drivers on their team and to work together, and they'll be thinking about 2026 as well, and the results that Campbell Adams has under his belt in the Formula Drivers League. So it wouldn't surprise me if he's been scooped up by them, but we'll see. I'll get some double checking going, some confirmation on that in the background that we can update, because at the moment, yeah, privateer. So maybe he's just a fan. Maybe he's just a big fan of Max Boost.
Yeah. I suspect that it is just a late entry or something to the Max Boost team, but anyway, he is on the pole at the moment, and that would certainly line up with what Max Boost have been able to do this season. Obviously, the pole position first time round went to Daniel McCrone. Last week it went to Kane Ryder, and so far the pole sitters have not been able to finish any higher than 8th position in this series. So hopefully that for Campbell Adams will be able to change as less than a minute and a half to go in the session. Tom Donahue wasn't aware that he's Max Boost now, but he notes as well that he has the Max Boost livery on. Speaking of which, Eskandari just goes to the top, just over a minute away from the end. Campbell Adams not able to respond. 25.8 from him, which would have been good enough again for 9th if he was starting afresh. But Eskandari leading by more than a 1/10 of a second, and I think that's maybe where the pole position is going tonight.
Oh, and that is Pocock going for a bit of a skim of the barrier and a spin of the car. Unfortunately, he'll be straight back to the pits, but keep an eye. We've got a few on laps at the moment. Danny Davison's going, and he's out there at the moment. We're looking at Angus Milne, who's fresh on his back from the Aown race win, of course, so driving line astern with Scott Barchin at the moment, who's just ahead of him a couple of places, so they'll be looking to work together. But they've got a Turbo Bros racing car with the now infamous one-piece livery on the car. By the way, Dean O'Neill had a little bit of a name change. I don't know if he's done it by Depot, but he's certainly name changed on iRacing. It's now Dion Rosa. Whether that's a little tip-off to the sort of Japanese inspiration for the team, but certainly the Everything Racing car is getting held up now by the Turbo Bros car. What can they do across the line is the question. So on the back of a race win, Angus Milne, what's it going to be? No improvement.
Yeah, it doesn't improve his position. It's only slightly faster at the lap time, but no positions gained. What about Campbell Adams? I'm not sure this is going to be any quicker, or is it? Oh, it is! Wow! I didn't think, based on the first sector there, which wasn't any quicker than what he's done before, he'd be able to do that, but he has. And he's gone to the pole now. Sebastian Eskandari with just one chance to respond. And he's in the pit lane. Kane Ryder's got a chance as well, unless he's come into the pit lane too, and he has. So that's the end for Eskandari and Kane Ryder. I think Jordan Mazzaroli is the only driver out there at the moment from the top 5 who might be able to improve. He's completely on his own, and it would take a bit of a miracle to improve from here. But Campbell Adams, despite not going any quicker than what he's done before in the first sector, I'd written him off straight away. He persevered, and the final 2 sectors, he was able to pull enough time to look what looks like take pole position by over a 1/10 of a second.
It didn't look like he was using slipstream either, so it's a very impressive lap, regardless of whether he's using that slipstream or not. But either way, it's a 1/10 of a second past Eskandari, who clearly thought his lap was not going to be up to scratch and pulled out. But here we go through the last sector of the race, and Mazzaroli is also going to pull out. He has not set a good enough time, and that is going to be our qualifying session for today. Tesserero is still trundling out there on track. I think he's just stopped. Yes, he has. So that's going to be our qualifying. Wow.
That's rare you see such a late change in a 15-minute qualifying session, to be honest. Normally everybody's got their best times in by a certain stage, but Campbell Adams able to take pole position with the last lap of the session, pretty much, or certainly his last lap, one of the last laps overall in this session here tonight. Over 30 drivers in the field today, although Tom Donahue's one of them, so obviously won't be driving. There should be 30 on the grid for tonight's race from Adelaide in South Australia, and we'll be very shortly ready to go with the race of half an hour in length. And there's the look from the air. So, Campbell Adams takes the pole in front of Sebastian Iskandari. It's a max boost 1-2. Tulip Racing at 3 and 4, though. Can they work together to stay with the max boost leaders a bit longer this time? Mazraoui and Burkhardt. Kane Ryder and Dan Ackland then on row 3 with Jackson Rihanna and Danny McCrow. Next, Danny Davidson and Scott Bartine will share row 5 and round out the top 10. It's Craig Edwards in 11th, ahead of Angus Moon, Vaughan Ryder and Michael Scott on row 7, ahead of Mitchell Albert and James Casser, Jackie Chung and Dan Bartush on row 9, ahead of Dylan Little and Matt Tesorero, rounding out the top 20. Daniel Byrne has just received a penalty, as you've just seen there, 10 seconds of a time penalty for him. He's ahead of Nathan Verney in qualifying, and Martin Lipsky and Scott Pocock on row 12. Jacob Bampton's also got a 10-second penalty for the race. He starts 25th in front of David Gallo. Ben Ryder, last driver, set a time. Patrick Savina in the race for the first time. Was the last driver to set a time, quite a long way off the pace. Terry Nightingale Jr. didn't go out in qualifying at all, so slightly fearful he's not going to race. Tom Donahue obviously won't. And Chase Tippett did do laps, but didn't get a lap in, so will start and is in fact already on the grid. It's going to be quite a funneling down on the way towards turn 1. We've already spoken about it a little bit in terms of green flag racing, but actually getting off to a start here is going to be rather interesting coming towards turn 1.
It certainly will be. We've had reports that turn 1 is interesting in terms of getting cars through there cleanly. So it's all going to be about the start and who you got side by side with you and whether you can trust them or not. That's going to be the key today. Weather conditions looking fair out there. 15-kilometre-an-hour wind. We're just about to go to the grid in a few moments' time. And so good conditions at the moment for the beginning of this round. And we'll see who can get off the line quicker, Campbell Adams or Sebastian Iskandari.
Let's see, the two teammates lining up dead side by side, by the way, as they do here in Adelaide, not staggered grid. And so if you get a good launch and you're Iskandari here, then you can be leading as if you're the pole sitter. Here come the lights from Adelaide. Oh, and a jump start in the background. Trouble already. And that looks like Daniel McCrowan, who's got off to a jump start there, and that's an absolute disaster for him. He clearly must have slipped on the clutch or something. Not sure what's going on for him there, but we're underway in Adelaide and in towards turn 1. Campbell Adams gets it single file. Let's hope they all make it through cleanly over these curves for the first time. And they do. The leaders, Adams and Iskandari, 1 and 2. Mazraoui is in 3rd. Then Burkhardt's trying to lead the line, lead the chasers, try and stay with the leaders. In the moment, oh, Rihanna getting tied by Daniel Ackland, who's in the inside in the blue. Still side by side as they come through the middle sector here. And these 90-degree turns, and they finally get single file. Rihanna into 5th, Ackland into 6th. The field already splitting a little bit at the in the front 5 or so.
Certainly are, yeah. Good start there from a number of drivers. Jackson Rihanna, and especially 2 positions up. Came Ryder with that. I think he was the one that did... No, it was McCrone that did the jump start, but Came Ryder's lost a couple of positions at the start of this race already. Here goes another move, an attempted move here. It's going to be Came Ryder trying it on Ackland, who's had a number of interesting races so far this season, couple, because he's been at a couple, but he's going to be looking to try and continue his run of good form. That's a good move by Came Ryder back up into the place he needs to be. Crash in the background, though. I think we've had some drama.
It looks like it. Not as much as you might expect on the opening lap here, but it's very easy to have a track blockage around here, let's not forget. And Craig Edwards has got a meatball flag, so you wonder whether he is going to be involved in a replay. We'll see shortly. Pit lane for Edwards very soon, and indeed some of them for... Oh, over the curbs! And Campbell Adams from the lead! He's saved it somehow! Or has he? Has he broken the suspension? He might have hit the wall on the inside. I was wondering in qualifying what would happen if he did. And it looks like we've found out. Campbell Adams in the wall. And he's off through turns 1, 2, 3. Well, that looks like it's that for the pole sitter. And the run of pole sitters having bad races in this series continues.
Unbelievable. I mean, I'm not even sure. We'll try and get that up on a replay in a few moments' time. We've got accidents happening all over. It wasn't lap 1. Even Mazraoui slowing down. I think he had a slowdown penalty somewhere in there as well. No safety car, no virtual safety car, I should say, being called for anyone at the moment. Craig Edwards still stuck in the pits. Campbell Adams with the black flag, and now it's going to be Mazraoui trying to catch back up. Rihanna inherits P2 in this race, as well as Came Ryder in P3, up 5 and 2 positions respectively. In this battle for P2 is going to be absolutely epic as Iskandari drives away into the distance now.
Oh no, someone's still stuck there.
Oh,
Someone's still stuck there. Is that Jacob Bampton? maybe. Yeah, he's turning back to pit lane.
It's not Dylan Little. Yeah, I think you might be right there.
Yeah, he's gone back to pit lane now anyway, so he's out of the way. I reckon he was asking race control, and either he didn't hear the response or there wasn't a response for them to say, yes, you can tow back to pit lane. I must admit, I've been very surprised at the lack of virtual safety cars this season. Maybe not last week, but Phillip Island, we had a humongous crash on lap number 1. We had quite a lot going on lap 2 here, but still no stoppage. This is what happened to Campbell Adams. And note, oh, he has hit the wall as well. And that's broken the front left suspension. That is that. I was wondering what would happen, and unfortunately, Campbell Adams has demonstrated from the lead of the race. You've got to really nail turn 1. The way you slide these cars around, you turn in a long way before the car responds, and indeed you need to actually hit the apex itself. And you know, it's a bit of a shame, really, because the tyre wall is not that hard in real life, but it's absolutely rock solid. It looks like in iRacing.
Yeah, it's one of those pixels that does not move. It does not shift at all. Kind of gives me a little bit of Zolder vibes in a way. If you miss that first part of the entry, you're just launched awkwardly into the second part, and then suddenly at least there's a runoff at Zolder. But here, unfortunately, you're straight into the barriers either way. So you're going to be dodging things by millimeters. No further action on car number 38 from race control. I think we've got a couple more replays on the way as we see Burchardt and Mazzaroli now line astern, trying to keep up with Kane Ryder and Jackson Rihanna. Let's take a look. I think this is Dylan Little at the start. At the start of this race. Coming in, let's see what's happened there. He's had a slide out, and that's... has he picked up anyone else? Oh, some avoiding action. That's a close one. That's a close call, but not a serious accident there.
Yeah, I wonder if we've got Craig Edwards' trouble on the replay somewhere, because he's only just reappeared from his meatball now. Oh, this is him. Oh, dear. Well, you can see why he's got a meatball. He's already been in the wall, or indeed another car. Oh, no. Oh, no, he's in the wall as well. So who did that in the Australian Grand Prix all those years ago? I can't remember. I wasn't born, but somebody definitely did that. Trying to come into pit lane with a bit of damage and not quite realising it is a hard pit lane to get onto. We weren't expecting it to be a problem, but Craig Edwards had damage there and therefore had no choice really but to send himself straight off into the wall. There goes Kane Ryder up into second place in front of Jackson Rihanna, and it looks like they might be working together to try and catch Eskandari, although that's going to be really hard given there's 2 seconds already in the first 5 minutes.
That's exactly right. Yeah, we are looking at the moment to try and find where Craig Edwards did end up in all sorts of trouble. I think the only replay that we'll have is when we get... In fact, I think we have it here. So let's try and take a look and see what's happened. We're going to be on board with Danny Davidson. And let's try and catch a close eye there of Craig Edwards. Should be somewhere on track. Might be him just ahead.
Oh,
apologies for, there we go. He's just been squeezed into the barrier.
Yeah, you've got to give the car on the outside space there through turn 11, I think that is. And unfortunately, Davison did not. We do have a virtual safety car. First time this season. And we do have a virtual safety car. So there is no Jimmy Peacock, but there is the leader slowing down and everybody else catching up behind them. So we'll try and have a look at everything that's, if there's anything else that's happened so far. But so far in pit lane, we've seen the bottom 11 drivers in this race all having to come in. Ben Ryder and David Gallows still in fact the bottom 10, sorry, because Tony Nightingale Jr. didn't start the race. Even Jacob Bampton's back out on the circuit again, although he's 2 laps down at the moment in this train. This is how he went for that spin. So he spun, and then did he get beached here? As he's trying to turn himself around. Oh no, he's trying to turn himself around again, and he's beached himself on the curb. Well, there is a first time for everything, and it's taken them mere days for them to get stuck on a curb here at Adelaide. That is a really, really precarious place to find yourself.
That's really unfortunate. You can see him there trying the old left-right, put it in forward, put it in reverse, do left-right, left-right. Anyone who's done a bit of four-wheel driving knows that that's how you get yourself out of a tight spot. There's Pocock coming on through, and the aforementioned Bampton as well, just making their way through. This is going to be a very interesting restart. We've got plenty of people in chat as well. Welcome in on the live stream. Great to have you here. It is the first, I think, virtual safety car officially we've had this season.
It is, yeah, it is. And as I was saying before, I'm very surprised that it is, because I'm not surprised we didn't get one last week, to be fair, but I am a little bit surprised there wasn't one at Phillip Island after the opening lap carnage that we saw. So lap cars are being allowed through here, and that will allow Craig Edwards back onto the lead lap. Same for Scott Pocock, Nathan Verney, Patrick Savida. Campbell Adams might even get back onto the lead lap as well if he's lucky, although maybe he's at the back of the field and won't be. Jacob Banton has been given one of his laps back, but he is multiple laps down. Well, just one now, but he is a lap down, which means he will not get back onto the lead lap at least. So there'll be another lap under virtual safety car also, but it's really just to neutralise the field here and bring it all closer together again, because there's no pit stops in this series, and so normally if this was the Super Formula Light series and there's it's a day maybe where there's just one pit stop or so, like we see in the feature races on a 2-race evening, everybody would come in to make their pit stop and that would be it as far as pit stops are concerned, but we don't even need to do that here. So Eskandari just slowing the field down, and very shortly we'll be getting them back underway again, but making absolutely sure his tyres don't really cool down, and everybody is here in these rather cool temperatures we've got here tonight, or this morning I should say. It's not yet 9 o'clock in Sim and it's only 27 degrees.
Exactly right, yeah, and a little bit of cloud cover on parts of the circuit and shade, as you guys can see. Out there on track, still got plenty of time in this race, and fortunately for us in the commentary box, yes, we don't have a flurry of those pit stops, which does tend to confuse the order somewhat, and we're all trying to figure out who's going to end up where, who's going to filter out at what point, and then pit lane time starts to come in. This procession of synchronized tire warming happening down the very, very long Valvoline back straight there as we head towards hopefully a restart of the race in a few corners time. But it is actually quite joyous to see. Great shots here at the moment from Adelaide.
Yeah, it's good cameras already as well, aren't they? Set up here, and it's the run down. I wish I had this in real life, to be honest. Right down sort of eye level, down towards turn 9, where a lot of the action is in these races. So 10 minutes gone. We'll see whether we haven't seen the virtual safety car will be in this lap notification, but I suspect that it will be, as Eskandari has stopped weaving now, and everybody else has as well. So bit of a gap being opened by Kane Ryder, just a car length or two, nothing massive, but it is noticeable the way that he's allowing Eskandari to get there. And there we go, ends his lap, and very quickly Eskandari will get his back underway again if he wants to at the final corner. Is he going to go? And this will trick people. People will think they're going, and now he goes. So he just waited to hesitate for a moment, and look at the gap he's got already. Kane Ryder not interested really in crawling all over the back of his teammate and keeping him really close, almost willingly allowing Eskandari to extend a small advantage, albeit over the field, as we go back to green flag racing again.
Here we go, yes, that was very close between the Tulip Racing cars there as Burchardt nearly goes into the back of his teammate. I was keeping a very close eye on that first chicane that they have to navigate after the tyres are not quite maybe back to where they need to be. You've got to be so cautious on this first lap, and yeah, Eskandari's start there. Yeah, very interesting. It's got elements of things that we've seen in Formula 1, whether or not, I mean, she's completely allowed to do that at the end of the day, but certainly caught Kane Ryder napping for a moment there as we see a few cars jostling for position in the background. But Kane Ryder has done a really good job on this restart to actually hold on to Eskandari, and maybe Eskandari here wants to help him. Oh, yeah, we have had something happen in the background.
Sorry, yeah, in the wall, James Casser and Jackie Chung are dropping down the field, and there was definitely someone in the wall through turn 8, so I thought there was that corner was not really an event in these cars, to be honest, but on lap number 1, when there's lots of slipstream, Casser seems to have been in the wall. Oh wow, and look how close they were running, these two. Casser just in front, Chung we're following here, sliding and spinning all the way to the inside. Lipski, oh no, big crash down the end of there, the straight towards turn 9. That's Martin Lipski, who comes crashing into Jackie Chung, and we stay green again, but a restart crash, unfortunately, for Lipski, who's got a meatball. So has James Casser and Jackie Chung as well. Somehow not got a meatball, but he's got a lot of damage and will come down pit lane as well.
It seemed like Jackie Chung had a lot of speed out of that final corner, and he was carrying that, made a bit of contact. I think they interlocked wheels for a moment as well, and whatever has caused him to then lose control of the vehicle and spin, put him on the wall. He saw him nearly hold on to it, but lost it at the final part, and then unfortunately Lipski didn't see what was going on in front of him and ploughed directly into Jackie Chung's car. So both of them, of course, now going to be making their way to the pit. Jackie Chung still out there at the moment, though, but Lipsky and Kassa with those meatball flags staying in there. Kame Ryder, defensive move to keep Jackson Rahana from making the overtake. This is only defensive at the moment. They're going to go side by side. And that's a near miss there for these two drivers. Interlocking wheels briefly as Kame Ryder desperately tries to hold on to this position.
Oh, that's really deep into turn 11 from Rihanna. I thought he was going straight in the fence, but he's made it out the other side, and Kame Ryder gets the position back, says thanks very much, I'll just cut underneath you and take second place again. Jordan Masroli is right there, unsure what to do here, as he said at the time. Seth Burkhart's very nearly crashed into him on the way down the road towards turn 5, of turn 4 rather, on the opening lap of this restart, but he's still just waiting in the wings at the moment as they thread the needle through the opening chicane. Here comes Masroli inside, there's a small gap, oh wow! He's finding a bicycle lane of width down there, and very nearly caused an incident again, but no, Masroli can't get through, and this is allowing the group behind to catch up. So Burkhart's and Davison are both a bit closer than they were before because of this fighting.
Certainly are, yeah. We've got about 2 seconds between the top 6 at the moment. Ackland's still there. He's just dropped outside that 1 second now. He's having to deal with Scott Bartine and Angus Mill runners back. So a pack of 3 starting to edge their way towards this battle as well. Eskandari has not pulled the distance that I might have been expecting him to do so early on, whether it's to keep Kame Ryder in the slipstream and to give him a bit of advantage against Jackson Rahana. Nearly came unstuck in that last lap, and Jackson Rahana's got a little bit of work to do now. I do wonder if he's starting to worry more about what's behind him rather than what's in front of him.
Yeah, maybe. Ryder really close to Eskandari now, and are they trying to make a break for it now, the two Max Boost drivers? You wonder. Slipstream's still a factor here, but it's not quite the draft race that we saw last week, or indeed the week before. Snetterton or Phillip Island. Next week, by the way, is the Ben Motorsports Park on the west layout, which I think is a layout that should be used more, to be honest, but there you go. That should allow for plenty of slipstreaming chances as well. The front straight is used in its entirety in that layout, by the way, so that will be massive for these cars on the way down in towards turn 1 and that opening complex next week. So look forward to that as we come in towards turn 4 again with these guys. Rihanna's got a big job at its hand, a lot of responsibility because there's a small gap between the top 2, yes, but then there's a bigger one to the rest of the group, and Rihanna's got to try and close that if he can and not let the Max Boost drivers battle amongst themselves again and have the race win between themselves like they did in Phillip Island.
Exactly right. I mean, it makes a little bit of a copy and paste easier for Tom Donahue later on. It's just Max Boost in the same positions week after week. But it'd be great to see Jackson Rihanna really shake this up. What a battle we've seen in the last couple of rounds. Phillip Island was absolutely epic between these two. Eskandari now going on the defensive as Kame Ryder flies past him. So a switch of positions at the top now. And Eskandari is going to be the one whose job it is to keep the Flash, Jackson Rihanna, with his yellow and black car under suppression. That's going to be the key for them today. But we know that Jackson Rihanna clearly is feeling good at this track. He's already made a couple of lunges, albeit rather ill-fated ones. But I'm sure he'll be working his way back into this pack in a few moments' time. Got a really good entry through that last corner. Whether or not it actually compromises them on the straight, I think it does just a little bit. Some other crashes around the field as well, though, as Eskandari and Kame Ryder going at it again.
Edwards has crashed again, unfortunately, and Dylan Little and Danny McCrone are the others involved this time, and there might be more. Those are the only 3 with meatballs, and Edwards is actually off the racetrack now, trying to get him drag himself back to pit lane, but surely that's the end of his day because he's already had 1 meatball. He's in again, or he will be in again in a moment. Danny McCrone is in as well. So the pole sitter from the opening round of the championship, and the driver who was up there in the first group for all of the race, other than the last lap, pretty much, at Snetterton, is out of contention here at Adelaide as well, as the attrition is starting to bite. Let's have a look at the Reaper. Oh no, well you can see, oh dear. Well, it didn't take a genius to work out that what was going to happen there. Turn 8, 3 wide. I mean 2 wide's quite dangerous, 3 wide is completely unsustainable, and well, all 3 of them, I'd hate to say it, all 3 of them got what they deserve there.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but as we've been hearing a lot in Formula 1, 3 does not go into 1. Oh, here we go. It's on for the battle for the lead, and Eskandari still leading at the moment. He's actually overtaken Kane Rider again. Kane Rider nearly touches wheels with Jackson Rahana, who rides that curve nicely. It's going to be a defensive move for Kane Rider. He's dived deep. Jackson Rahana cuts back in. This is going to have to figure itself out on the straight, where they'll be going side by side with the Tulip Racing cars.
Well, he's going to have to tuck in here, Rihanna. Masroli's going to have to give him the space, otherwise they're going to let the front two go away again. And they're going to, they're threading the needle again. Masroli's going to get a great run, but he can't go anywhere through turn 3. He'll have to be turn 4. Here he goes, outside line. Rihanna scored! Rihanna was braking late there and was on a crash course for a moment with Kane Rider. Still just over 10 minutes to go here, by the way. There's a lot that could happen here. Didn't see the start of the side-by-side, but that's what these guys are going to do. Get Ryder and Eskandari side by side, get something going here in this group, and then they can start to try and work their way past. But while they're 1 and 2 at the moment, the Max Boost drivers, it's going to be very difficult for Rihanna or anybody else to actually get in amongst them. Side by side again in towards turn 8. You can do 2 wide, although it's not advisable really. Masroli tucks back in, and he goes back underneath into turn 9. That was excellently done from Jordan Masroli, and he's going to get through here, is he? And he will do. Oh, he brakes too late! He goes sideways, and Brianna gets back into 3rd.
Oh, that was a close one there. He just cooked it, couldn't get the car slowed down enough, and the rear decided it didn't want to have any part of that maneuver whatsoever. I'm getting flashbacks now. Phillip Island, seeing the Tulip Racing cars racing a lot, and unfortunately putting themselves out of contention to catch up with the leaders. And right now, if you're in P3 to P6, you can see the lead of the race right there. You've got to be thinking about how you can catch up with these guys. There's only a second and a half in it. There's plenty of pace, plenty of people making mistakes. They're all still hovering in the 26s, other than Eskandari with that clean air ahead of him. But if they're fighting with Jackson Rihanna, you can say bye-bye to Kane Rider and Eskandari.
Yeah, you certainly can. As these guys come through the the end of the first sector and into the middle sector all over again. This race starting to wind down, but the intensity ramping up. Jackson Rihanna is close to Kane Rider again here. He needs a good run off this corner here, turn 7, and he doesn't quite have it really. He doesn't have the line, and Rider of course has the slipstream of Eskandari, which makes things a little bit more difficult, but he will start to drag in that gap now as they come towards turn 8. Completely flat out through here, even in the slipstream, nearly 200 k's an hour. Sliding towards the wall, but not letting it get out of control. And Eskandari still leading, but I think the leader's vulnerable, whoever that is, not Eskandari specifically, but whoever the leader is, because that is such a long run from turn 7 round to turn 9. I think if there is not a teammate behind Eskandari, then it could be a little bit more difficult to defend this lead than maybe it's been so far.
Yes, fortunately, we have the finish line photo finish camera all ready to go at this circuit. So if we do end up in that situation, then we will be able to see it. I have to admit, Jackson Rahana, I've been looking at his corner entries. He's really good under the brakes compared to Kane Rider and Eskandari. They're focusing on the exits and getting that traction early on to launch them down the straight. Fastest lap by Mazzaroli as well. So he's absolutely flying. He flies through the chicanes as well. Now it's going to be right on the back. Oh, dear, oh, dear. That is a huge accident. Oh, my goodness. Oh.
Angus Milne, the winner from the weekend in the Australian Open World Nationals, is not going to be winning here tonight. In the wall hard through turn 1 and 2. And spun around quite a few times as well, as Rihanna has to defend from Mazzaroli. The top 2 are going to get away here as well. It's just breaking apart, this front group at the very end. Milne was hanging on to the coattails of them. And he is no longer. He is in pit lane. He's had to tow back to pit lane. Another meatball flag. I think that means there's only going to be 23 cars left in the race or so. A very attritional race we've seen here tonight, as you'd maybe expect to see from Adelaide. Here comes Mazzaroli. Defence from Rihanna. Very late, but there was no other choice. In towards turn 9, and look at the top 2. They've broken away again. To be fair, they've kept them in the group for longer than they did last time, but unfortunately, the others who are not on Team Max Boost, even though they're not teammates, they can't cooperate as teammates as well as Max Boost are, and it's allowing the teammates to break away every single race, and it's happening for a 3rd week now.
It is, and I've been told as well that Rahana has damage on his nose cone, so he's losing a lot of speed down the straights, which explains why he's under such large attack. And Mazzaroli going to be going for it again, but doesn't have the overlap into turn one, unfortunately, this time out. But it's compromised Jackson Rahana massively in this race, and he's 1.6 seconds back. He's lost that ability to stay in the slipstream now. And look, there's a double attack going on right now. Tulip on the outside, Tulip on the inside, and it's nearly 2 for 1. Jackson Rahana has held onto this somehow and has the outside line, but there's contact between them.
Oh, and Rihanna's going to be out of the race, is he? Is the rear left suspension okay, or is it broken? It looks broken to me. No, he's in the middle of the road, and he's going to get hit there twice. Michael Scott and Daniel Byrne came through, and so does Matt Tesorero. Oh, sorry, that's the lap driver. That's not Tesorero, that's Danny McCrowan, who's had enough trouble tonight. Jackson Rihanna has got a meatball, and he's going to trudge back to pit lane forlornly. Well, what a chaotic race we've seen, and it's not over yet. Danny Davison gets to third. He's stepped through all the carnage to make it a max boost 1, 2, 3. Unbelievable
scenes we're seeing here. And only 7 minutes to go in this race. Jackson Rahana defended beautifully against the Tulip cars, but he wanted that position to remain his. He tried it around the outside, but nowhere for Mazzaroli to really go at that point. He had the undercut. He was on the apex. There's no more space there. There's a barrier there, unfortunately. So Jackson Rahana just slightly miscalculating that one, in my opinion. But I'm really unfortunate to see him out of the race. He obviously had that damage. Now we've seen Davison going to be under attack from Burchart's. Mazzaroli's dropped down to P6 in this race as well. So the lot going on with still 6 minutes in the race to go. There's Burchart. Is he going to make a maneuver into this corner? It's going to be the inside line for him. So that's Davidson forced to the outside, but maintains the apex speed beautifully. And through goes Ackland out of nowhere.
Yeah, Tony Ackland hasn't really done much so far tonight, but he's appeared now when it matters, and that's the way to race round here, it seems. 6th place in the standings currently, by the way, Dan Ackland. He's one of the drivers who's got 2 top 10s so far, and it looks like he's going to continue that record as well. Eskandari and Kane Ryder have really broken away from the rest of the field, and you've got to say that Kane Ryder's probably got to beat Eskandari here. But let's have a look at some replays. Oh dear, not clipping the wall, but sliding really. Angus Milne takes the front nose off and isn't going to be going anywhere from there. This is what happened with Rihanna, who was bisected by the 2 Tulip Racing drivers, and then it's going to be hard to know whether he turned in on them or whether they clipped him by missing the apex. But that has seen Rihanna out of the race and down to 25th for the moment. No drop weeks in this series, of course, and so Rihanna's going to be one of those who drops out of the top 5 tonight after that trouble. Mazzaroli, who is in the top 5, is going to be staying there, so will Kane Ryder, Seth Burkhardt, and Dan Ackland will probably be the one to replace Rihanna inside the top 5 in the standings at the end of the day. So that's how it's going to be at the end here. Rihanna's out the race. He'll finish 25th tonight, unfortunately, but with 5 minutes to go, this battle for third is going to be quite one to watch as Kane Ryder makes a mistake, clearly. The gap 2 seconds now to Sebastian Eskandari, who's on his way to another victory, it looks like.
Oh, wow, yeah, and Kane Ryder clearly has done something. I'm not quite sure exactly where, but 2 seconds the gap now. 4.5 seconds the gap now back to Ackland. And Davison with a battle keeps on going at the moment. We've got some very funny comments coming in chat as well, with someone saying, "Can't park there, sir." Which, no surprise that we haven't made it through at least one stream without saying that. So there we go. There's the one for the season. Here goes Ackland. He's got an opportunity, but Davison will be defending.
And he's defending easily in towards turn 9 as well. Mazzaroli in front of Burkhardt. The Tulip Racing drivers just coordinating between the 2 of them as well. Jamie Peacock not driving this season in the safety car, so he's had a tooth pulled today. Lol, he said. He said lol. I didn't add that. Yeah, I know the feeling, to be honest. Most of my teeth are not there anymore. Through, not because I haven't looked after them, but the dentist said it'd be a good idea. So there we go. So I listened. Over the line with 3.5 minutes to go. Should be 3 laps. And Michael Scott comes in for a meatball, by the way, and not the food, and will drop outside the top 10 as a result. How's this going to be resolved, though? Ackland in towards turn 4. He's not going to get through here. Might be waiting for the end of the race, but we'll see. That there isn't long to wait now. As I say, this is the third last lap now.
Exactly right, yes. So That is 3 minutes now on the clock, and Daniel Ackland just executing the standard wait for something to happen to the cars ahead maneuver, which he's becoming quite well known for at the moment, getting some great results as a result of being consistent and not being involved in those accidents throughout the race is absolutely key. It's definitely someone after my own heart, that is for sure. That's exactly how I go racing. I just go, well, whatever's happening ahead of me can happen, and I'll just wait to pick up the pieces. And lots of manoeuvres still going on. Davison going defensive again, probably didn't need to. He's going to compromise his line at the end of the straight, but does pick up the exit very, very nicely. And I always did wonder, just on the, since we were talking about teeth, I always wondered, I got my wisdom teeth out, and did I lose wisdom? Wisdom minus. I'm not sure. It's going to be, with that thought, it's going to be with me for the rest of my life.
Very good. I'm hoping I don't get any, but that might explain something. Through the final corner, with 2 minutes to go, Eskandari, another personal best. He hasn't got the fastest lap, though, so he'll miss out on a bonus point. That's to Jordan Masroli. I suspect that was in the slipstream, and nobody's going to beat that now, based on the way this group is going, and indeed, this being the only group in the field, nobody else has got any slipstream to help themselves to another point. Here comes Ackland into turn 4. No, again, Davison's defending, and I wonder whether Dan Ackland is waiting for the last lap here, because he knows that second in the group might be the best place to be, and he's trying his very best to try and keep that place.
It certainly is. I mean, he's got all the opportunity. The thing, isn't it? This is the racer's dilemma. You've got third place staring right ahead of you. You know that one maneuver at the right time can actually be the big difference here, and if he can focus on that, maybe even the last couple of corners of the last lap of this race might be the place to do it, and just close up on Davison, maybe try and get him offline slightly and then go for that photo finish. But right now Mazzaroli is going to be the one to have be worrying about, as Daniel Ackland sends it deep as anything. He sent it to the bottom of the Mariana Trench, and he's out of the running.
Well, I thought initially he was going to go straight down the escape road, but actually he managed to not do that, but he's dropped to 4th in the group, and that is a complete disaster. It might have even given Danny Davison the space to hold on to this position all the way through. With less than 1 minute to go, Sebastian Eskandari is going to take the final lap of this race, and he looks like he's on his way to a second race victory in just 2 weeks.
Wow. I mean, Eskandari, he's been absolutely brilliant all season long. He's been brilliant, of course, in the previous season as well for the SFLs, and it's just showing that he's on great form. We know that he's got a lot to do in 2026 outside of the world of sim racing, and this has been a great primer, I think, for that for the young man. It is great to see him have such success, but you know, the opportunity today, he gave the rest of the field an opportunity, or certainly the top 5 or so. They haven't taken it once again, so his consistency and his pace has done him yet again a really, really good bit out on the track. So this is going to be it. The last lap, Mazzaroli still going to be fighting for that position, and Bartine has been now in the picture to pick up 6th place from Daniel Ackland. In fact, they are actually switching positions right now, as Ackland seems to have had a problem on exit, so it's gone wrong. It's gone very, very wrong.
He had a slowdown to serve there as Mazzaroli gets close to Davison down the back end of the straight here. He's going to go for it inside. He managed to get to the inside, and he's crossed into him. Danny Davison pushed wide, and he's he's been run over the back off by Scott Bartine. Oh my goodness! And they're going to block the track here. Ackland's in them as well. What is going on? Mitchell Howard's going to be in the top 5 as Sebastian Eskandari comes up towards the line. He's going to win for the second week in a row, and he knows that a top 7 finish next week at the Bend will be enough to win the Formula 4 Championship here, the Everything Simulated Formula 4 Championship this season. Bartine and Davison are still limping to the line as Mazzaroli gets to 3rd after his pass on Davison. He might end up in trouble for that. Bartine still can't get himself going again. Davison can't either. They might well both. Are they even going to finish here? They're going to be very slowly trudging to the end of the line here as they're outside the top 10. They were on for top 5 finishes, the both of them. They still can't get to the line. Danny Davison continues to drop down the field. Bartine's got moving at least, but Davison I don't think is. He's down to 16th place. Oh, he's still trying to get himself turned back round again. Goodness me, I mean, you don't see this very often. Finally, he's going to get going again. Here comes one of his teammates. That's McCrowan, who's a lap down, getting back going again. And finally, these two are going to get to the... Oh, no, they're not. Davison's taken ages to get turned back round again, and he's hit the wall. Oh, my word. This could take a while for Danny Davison.
Oh!
Patrick Savina. Oh, my goodness. Have you ever seen it finish to the race like this? I mean, just bizarre in so many ways. Mazzaroli into the side of Davison. Bartine ramps over the back of him, and Davison gives up, and he'll finish 18th at the end of the day.
Wow. I prefer to have my heart attacks at the beginning of the session so I have time to recover before the interviews. But in this case, we're going to have some heart attacks at the end of the session instead. I've never seen a finish to a race quite like that. Absolutely incredible pictures here. And Adelaide, you have provided an unbelievable race in a lot of ways. Some great racing and some accidents as well.
Definitely some of those. That is for sure. Goodness me. Let's have a look at the race results first of all. 3.5 seconds is the gap for Eskandari at the end here as he wins from Adelaide. It is Kane Ryder in second ahead of Jordan Masroli, who joins them on the podium. He just gets past Burkott, or indeed said ahead of Burkott's. Tulip Racing 3 and 4 ahead of Dan Ackland, Mitchell Albert, who got up to 5th, of course, then Dan Ackland, of course, who got involved with Davison and Bertine. Daniel Byrne finished his 7th ahead of Matches Herrera, Vaughan Ryder, Scott Pocock, with Michael Scott in 11th place, despite having quite a late meatball, actually. Chase Tippett up to 12th place after starting dead last. That's a great drive from Chase as Nathan Verney, Jackie Chung and Scott Bartine eventually rounds out the top 15. Scott Bartine ramping over the back of Davison on the last lap. Patsy Savina finishes 16th, but Diddle Little in 17th. Davison didn't complete the last lap as we saw. Finished 18th still though, ahead of Campbell Adams, the pole sitter who finishes 1 lap down. Craig Edwards, despite 2 meatball flags, finishes 1 lap down in 20th place. Quite remarkable from him. Also 1 lap down was Jacob Branton and Daniel McCrowan and Martin Lipsky. Angus Milne 3 laps down after his big crash through the chicane late on there. Jackson Rihanna late crash as well, finishing 6 laps down. And then the early retirements, James Casser, Dan Bartush, David Gallo, Ben Ryder, Tony Nightingale Jr. or Anton Don, who did not start the race. So, well, that is quite a chaotic finish here from Adelaide tonight, that's for sure. Before we go, we'll show you a replay at the end of that crash again, but I want to chat to Kane Ryder first of all, who's in there very early, and we can chat to him as well. Kane, welcome in. Congratulations on a 2nd place finish here tonight from Adelaide. How was that race for you in the end, ending up a few seconds off Eskandari, and you were in his slipstream competing for the win at one stage. So what happened there, and how did we... how did you sort of get to 2nd place? Just tell us a little bit about your race.
Yeah, I was just defending for my life there for the first half with Jackson and the Tulip boys behind. And so, yeah, when they come together, that was a bit of a relief. But yeah, no, I just outbroke myself into turn 4 with like 3 or 4 laps to go, lost 2 seconds, and then I just thought I'm just going to get it home because it's so easy to clip a wall around here and break your car. So
well, exactly. How have you been finding Adelaide since it was introduced into Irish? Everyone seems to be talking about the opening chicane, but I guess there's a lot of places around here where there's a big danger.
Look, it's a fantastic track, but I don't know if the open wheelers are the best ones around here. In a Porsche or something like that, it's fantastic, but I drove in the SFL last night, I think it was, and oh mate, it was a handful.
Yeah, well, I can imagine that, that's for sure. Kane, congratulations on 2nd place run tonight, and thanks for having a chat with us at the end of the race as well.
No worries. Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Thanks very much. That's Kane Ryder, finishes 2nd, and Sebastian Eskandari joins us as well from the victory lane once again. Seb, welcome in. Congratulations on another victory, 2nd in a row in the Everything Simulated Formula 4 Championship. How did you manage to pull off this one? You must have been a little bit concerned when the virtual safety car came out and your initial lead was wiped away.
Yeah, hi guys. Thanks for having me on tonight. Yeah, it was a fun race. I really enjoyed it. It was going very well up until the virtual safety car when I had the 2-second gap. But yeah, I guess just from there I had to put my head down again. But once they just stuck on me, it was hard to break the toe again. And then Kane and I worked together a little bit, and Jackson just stayed with us. And then unfortunately at the end he got taken out, and so Kane and I just kept driving and tried to not make many mistakes.
What was the key around here to sort of not making mistakes at Adelaide, and what are the sort of key points on this circuit that you found in the short time, obviously, that it's been on iRacing?
Don't hit the tyre bundle in turn 1 and don't get the slow down through turn 2. Those are the main things. If you don't do them, you're right.
It's all about the first chicane as we've been hearing. Congratulations on the victory for the 2nd week in a row. Seven, thanks for chatting to us at the end as well.
Yeah, thank you guys, and I'd just like to thank the team quickly. Just all their hard work. really helps. See you guys.
Thanks so much, Sebastian Eskandari, winner tonight from Adelaide. And in third place, Jordan Mazzaroli also joins us now. Jordan, welcome in. Congratulations on a podium finish. Despite everything that happened, finished where you qualified, but that group was... there was a lot going on in that group, and so I can imagine it doesn't feel like you finished where you qualified. Just tell us a little bit about the race and how you found it out there tonight.
Yeah, it was definitely very eventful. I was trying my best to, not to make any mistakes and not to get out of trouble too much. But yeah, unfortunately, I was just involved with a little bit too many incidents, and which prevented the other two from getting away. So, and then that last corner, and then that last lap incident, not really the way I wanted to take that position, but what can you do?
I was going to ask about that last lap. Obviously, you're not responsible for the aftermath, which was Bartine and Davison sort of spinning around and flipping around and all sorts happening behind you. But tell us about the initial sort of run there as you were getting down the laps. You had Dan Ackland around. You were battling for that sort of position in behind Danny Davison, going towards that last lap so that somebody could take third position. But tell us about the pass itself and the last lap. Excuse me, and the last lap.
So I had the run, so I decided to go for it. It was last lap, so took the risk. Fortunately, it seemed like it was sticking going into the corner, but then mid-corner, the rear kind of snapped, and I tried to correct it, and that caused understeer, and which ended up going right into Danny. So, yeah, well, if Danny's watching, sorry, it wasn't intentional, but yeah, it was. In the end of the day, it was hard racing. Things like this can happen, especially in a street circuit like this.
Yeah, it certainly can. Congratulations on a third place finish tonight, Jordan, and thanks for chatting to us at the end as well.
No worries. Thanks, guys.
Thanks so much. Jordan Mazzaroli, third place tonight, second podium of the season for him after the opening round of the season at Phillip Island, where he won that race for third, of course, and he did so here again tonight. Well, that's the first time we've seen Adelaide in a FDL event, if you like, in the Everything Simulated Formula 4 Championship. These are the championship standings going into the final round now. 48 points of an advantage. Eskandari knows that a top 7 will be good enough for him to win the title. Kane Ryder knows that a top 2 would be good enough for second in the standings as well. Jordan Mazzaroli and Seth Burkhart's probably the only others who can be involved in the championship fight here. 63 points cover the top 4 coming into the final round of the championship, and it's those 4 who will fight over the title in the last race as well. It was a good showing, I think, George, for the opening round, or the opening time, if you like, in Adelaide in FDL competition, and it's just as well too, because I'm pretty sure that it's going to be reappearing on the calendar for next season. I don't know that, but I'm pretty sure that we're going to be seeing an Adelaide round in the Super Formula Lights Championship. Maybe I'll be wrong, but good practice for coming rounds, maybe.
Oh, I think you and I could be the standard bearers for that movement of momentum of people. I reckon we bring it back, absolutely right. So, Tom, if you're listening, Adelaide, absolutely a winner. I mean, yes, we heard as well that some drivers not so keen on this car combination with this track, but there's clearly a lot of love for this place, and it has produced some brilliant racing today. Yes, in amongst a lot of accidents and a lot of it unintentional. It's close quarters racing out there. Defending is very, very difficult if someone gets a run on you, because you find yourself on the outside and bearing down on a barrier without, really anywhere to go. And then if there is, in fact, an incident ahead of you, you also have pretty much nowhere to go. Even on the straights, we saw Jackie Chung and a number of drivers basically just going into each other and not having any room or space to actually make that avoiding action. So overall, I mean, this is the first time I've seen racing here at Adelaide. I enjoyed it. I thought there was great potential in this track, so hopefully we see it back for next time, but we'll see what happens in the final round at the Bend. We're
looking forward to it in 1 week's time. That's just about it from us tonight, though, in the Everything Simulated Formula 4 Championship from Adelaide. A good first round, if you like to look at Adelaide here in iRacing for us. Maybe we'll be seeing it again in the near future. But that's just about it from us tonight. Join us next week for the final round from the Bend, where a championship will be settled between those top four. Sebastian Eskandari, Kane Ryder, Seth Burkotts and Jordan Mazraoui will all be in contention. Very much hope you can join us then. For now, from myself, Ian O'Leary and George Cook here, it's goodbye, and we'll see you in 1 week's time for the final round.